Hickok 45. To hammer or not to hammer? That is the question. And we're going to try to answer that today for you. A couple of coach guns lying here. Hammers on this one. No hammers on that one. Let's just see what we think. Let's pick up the hammer shotgun. Ooh, opened her up. Some rounds in. Big ones. Put my ears on and let's cock these ears. How's that? Oh yeah. Opened right up. All right out. Hammers. Let's try no hammers. Do the same thing. Oh, more difficult there. Okay, interesting. No hammers, but yet it's still fired. Well, yes, we're going to answer a couple of questions about double barrel shotgun. My buds, these are my firearms, all three. These two, primarily the subject of the conversation. That's a cool old Ithaca double though, isn't it? I just love that gun. So, hammers versus no hammers, or hammerless versus hammered shotguns. Someone not too long ago asked me about this, and if I would actually do a video showing the difference. And you know, for some reason, it just had never really occurred to me. And I thought, usually what will precipitate a video is when a lot of people, you know, we get a lot of requests for a certain thing. I don't know that I've had all that many requests for this, but I do have a fair amount of experience with it, and I'll bet it's something that a lot of people are not even aware of, and that's what came to my mind. You might just think a double barrel is a double barrel like this, and there's really no difference except that their hammers are external on this one, and they operate exactly the same way. But they really don't. There's enough difference that maybe this can provide you a little information. If you're looking at a double barrel shotgun, a coach gun, maybe you're contemplating getting into cowboy action shooting, or you would just like to have one of these. I mean, after all, a coach gun, as they're called quite commonly, they're just neat, really. A short barrel, double barrel, doesn't get much cooler, all right, and much more fun. But there is a difference. If you're looking at these, you're thinking about buying one. So I wanted to go into a couple of baseline though. The bottom line is they both have hammers. Think about it, they have to. Just like your little concealed hammer, Smith & Wesson revolvers, you know, so many of those, the Centennial models, they all have hammers. It's just that you can't see the hammers, right? Something has to hit the primer on the shotgun shell. Okay, so there's a hammer in there. There's a firing pin. Some could have a striker. There are some striker fired guns too, but something's got to hit that. All right. So that's the thing. These are internal. These are external. That's the big difference. And now that could be end of story. Yeah, they all have hammers. These are inside. These are outside. Okay. Life is good. Bye-bye. You know, no, there's a little bit more to it than that, and you might be interested to know that. Okay. I have used both of these in cowboy action shooting, probably about equal amounts. I did that for about 10 years, off and on, periodically. I'd go every month sometimes, and then I'd go 6 months and not do it. But I used both of these shotguns and another one just like this. So I have some experience actually firing these things on the clock and reloading them and trying to get shots off fairly quickly and that sort of thing, quickly as I could. So let me tell you about the differences. Again, you've got hammers on both, but it also makes some other, it results in some other changes. So in order to get a spring cock to fire a shell, you've got to cock something, don't you? Now we're cocking this manually. We're cocking these hammers back. So as far as the barrels opening up, there doesn't need to be any resistance. There's no other real mechanisms there. It's just, okay, they fall open like you noticed. And after I fired, it just fell open. So very simple operation, but you have to cock the hammers to get it to fire. Whereas with this one, somehow it has to be cocked. You know, that firing pin has to be cocked somehow. And since I'm not doing it with my thumb and cocking a hammer manually, something's got to be happening. And I don't have x-ray vision, the mechanism, I'm not even sure what it looks like on some of these, but something has to be cocked. Now I'm going to pull the triggers, snap it. Now you notice when I did this before, when I flipped the lever, they didn't just fall open. See, they don't just fall. Gravity won't do it. I'm pushing, there we go. Did you hear that click? It has to cock. See, it's cocking the hammers. I can fire it. Now when I bring it up, now if I do it again, it will fall open because it's cocked. See, but after I fire, so I'm gonna say I'm in a shooting match, or I've got renegade buffaloes, invading the yard, whatever it is, and I've got to shoot. Okay, then I go to reload it. If I'm grabbing my ammo and I'm doing that, I can work it down, but it takes some force for it to be cocked. That's a difference. May not matter to you, but I have had some of these. I had one, I don't remember who made it. It was a really old one that I had for a period of time that was very hard to cock. And I'm thinking it actually cocked on closing. I think it may be cocked on closing. Some of these that cock this way, the internal hammers or striker or whatever they have, some will cock on opening like this one, and some will cock on closing. So it's just the opposite effect. You got to use them, and that one took some real force to open and close. Okay, so that's the thing that some people don't like. It's a little bit of a nuisance. I really like this, the fact that thing just opens up for you. You lay the shells in there, and that's the way it works. So there's going to be some force applied to cock the shotgun, one way or the other, whether it's your thumb like that, or it's forcing it open or forcing it closed, depending on whether it cocks on closing, cocks on opening. Okay, so that alone maybe you weren't aware of. Okay, now how that relates to the operation of the shotguns, and which do I want? Well, there are certain advantages to both, really. If you wanted one of these for, say, home defense as a shotgun, and you could do worse, don't laugh. I mean, there have been some fairly expert shooters around, gun writers. Even Jeff Cooper said, a double barrel shotgun ain't bad. Ain't a bad choice. 2 shots of 12 gauge, solve most problems. Well, with this one, if you think about it, and of course a lot of you already know what I'm saying, so why are you watching? You just like me, right? No, some of you don't know, or you haven't thought about it. If this cocks on opening or closing, then I don't have as much control about when it's cocked, right? If I wanted to keep it loaded. So if I put 2 rounds in here, say this is my defensive shotgun, this is in the closet, or I don't have kids that are going to get to it, or whatever the situation is. I've chosen, for whatever reason, hopefully safely, to keep this gun loaded. All right. Okay, I pop it closed, it's loaded. Now, what if I don't want it cocked? I just want it loaded and ready. Not much I can do. It's going to be cocked. I can put the safety on. It's on safe. And some of these, the safety engages when you close them automatically. And this one I think used to. Somebody disengaged the safety for competition or something, and so it doesn't automatically go into safe when you close it up, but a lot of them do. But either way, that's another matter. I cannot really, it's on safe, I really can't have rounds in this one loaded and it not be cocked. It's going to be cocked. So that kind of bothers me. If I were going to have a double barrel, for defense and loaded in whatever the scenario might be, I kind of like that one. It just depends on what you're doing, what the application is. If it's going to be loaded, it's just not ideal. Now you can break it open, and that's the traditional way to ensure that a shotgun is safe, a break open shotgun. If you go to a skeet range, a sporting clays range, people walk around with them. That's one of the neat things about it. Because you only fire 2 shots at a time anyway, and you have to reload in those games. And so you see people walking around like this, and you got the visual, that everybody's safe. The gun is open. Even if it were loaded and it's not supposed to be, or have rounds in it, it's not going to go off, right? But it would not have rounds in it either. So they're just so great for proving they're safe. The visual on these things. So you could do that. You could have rounds in it, have it staged, I guess, like that, okay, and cracked open. But then it's just ready to go as soon as you close it. It's cocked. Okay, so the disadvantage of this could be an advantage for you, but I see it as a disadvantage in most cases, is you cannot have it loaded without it being cocked. And you've got spring compression issues and all that if it's going to be loaded for a long time. Maybe you don't want it cocked forever and all that. I don't know. It probably doesn't matter that much, but it's more of a safety issue, I think, for me. Of course, you've got a safety on it. You could click the safety on, but you know, it's a big old gun. It's not in a holster. So it depends on where it's kept, I guess. So be aware of that, okay? That's the thing. Now, when I was shooting cowboy action matches, I love these, and I shot that again half the time probably. But I really did discover I could shoot this one faster. I could get shots off a little faster because if you think about it, okay, I fired, you know, boom, boom. Okay, now after I fire, I got to get the barrel down, but I load it, and then I'm back up, bam, bam. I don't have to cock those rabbit ears. Although that's pretty fast too, and I've seen some people do it really, really fast, both of them with their hand and all that kind of thing. But this one, it just seems smoother where you didn't have to do that. Just, you know, get it loaded, even though it takes a little more to break it down. You load it, close it, boom, boom, you know, load it, you know, boom, boom. So it's a little faster in operation when you know you're going to be shooting. So that's something that maybe you were not aware of. I don't know. But you see a shotgun with hammers on it, and it's just going to fall open like that. Just it's almost like this part's not related. It doesn't matter, you know. It's just going to fall open, load it, shoot it. But in fact, let's do that. How about let's load this thing up again? We got some targets here, and you know what? I brought out one of the big pots here to shoot too. Let's just go ahead and take him out. Talk about smoking pots. Now the other thing I can do with this one more easily, maybe some shotguns, if you have a single trigger on your shotgun, you can't do this as well, although you can. It just depends. Let's cock that one. Is choose which barrel you want. Again, both of those are going to be cocked all the time if you've got it closed up, whereas this one, you could say I've got a slug in one side or different shot size. I could just choose what I want, you know, that sort of thing, you know. So a little more flexibility perhaps there. Now this one, I think you have seen, the Ithaca, really, really, really cool. Now most of these shotguns don't have ejectors either, because in cowboy action shooting you can't have the shells ejected automatically and fly backwards. So you got to kind of shake them out of there, okay? That's the one trait. You might have a double barrel shotgun that has ejectors. You might have a double barrel shotgun, it won't look like this probably, but has one trigger. So if you have one trigger, you got a different situation, kind of like the DP12 we just did recently. You'll know which barrel goes first. And on some you can even select it. You can select like on an over and under. My Browning Satori, I can choose which barrel shoots first, or I can change it, you know, back here on the tang. So I do have control, but it has one trigger, so I can't shoot both barrels at the same time. With these, you can do that. And now, since these have two triggers, you can do that with either one, though. Either one of these, you could blast both barrels at the same time. I've done it with both, I guess. My shoulder is still intact, but just barely, you know, from doing that. Okay. Let's shoot this one again. This one has internal hammers. You pull her up and blast away. Take the safety off. There we go. Pretty cool. Those shells out. Reload it. Now, in of course, cowboy action, you got shells on your body here. Oh, he stayed on the post. That's it. That's a first, isn't it? I bet we can get rid of him. So both work just fine. They really do. And by the way, I know that you're thinking, who in the world put that creation on there? That's buffalo hide, and I put that on there myself. I couldn't find a butt cuff I liked or anything, so I just put buffalo skin on it. This is one from Cabela's I've had for decades, I guess. But these are both nice shotguns, and there's not a gigantic difference, because most people see these coach guns as a oh, just something fun, something interesting to shoot, as much as anything. And in a match, it's not gonna make enough difference probably to matter that much. But yeah, again, depending on your purpose, if you obtain one of these and you're thinking of it as a defensive shotgun, I think these are some things to think about. This one, I think, it's more fun. I just like the operation of it, the simplicity of it, the external hammers. It's just a blast to shoot, and there's a little bit more cool factor maybe with the external hammers. I think most people would agree. It seems like it's more authentic. Although the hammerless shotguns, or the internal hammer shotguns, go back, I think, to the 1880s. They go back a long way too. So, but the hammers go back, of course, even into the percussion era and everything. And that just looks like what a stagecoach gun ought to look like. This one here really looks like what a stagecoach gun should look like. It was, I've forgotten the date, John, 1905 or something like that. So this thing was almost in the stagecoach era. But the cool factor is unbeatable if you got the external hammers. A little bit maybe smoother, a little bit quicker operation if you know you're going to be shooting with one. But like I say, if you're thinking about one of these for home defense, something to think about. Maybe the biggest factor is not in this being a little more difficult to open the action. That's not a big deal. The bigger deal probably is, do I want to keep it loaded? And if I do, how do I do that? Because I personally would not do that. I've never kept one of these loaded because of that. It's just I can't uncock it. Cannot uncock it once I close it up. Well, there is one way to uncock it. It's a little quiz for you. I've been lying to you. You actually can uncock this once you close it up. Problem is, it requires pulling the triggers, right? So that's just a little bait. Let me shoot one. Which one do you want me to shoot now? Let's shoot this one again. They're equally fun, I'll have to say. Yeah, nothing like a double barrel shotgun. If you were raised a cowboy like me, what do we have left here? Oh, we're gonna get rid of that 2-liter. Yeah. Oh, let's shoot a cowboy. Oh man, right in the middle. That Desperado. Again, as we always like to point out, you notice that this is a standard birdshot, and that did not spread that much, did it? I'm gonna shoot the coffin, and I think the left barrel's a fuller choke, perhaps. So on that tombstone, that's a pretty tight fit, because that's about 20 yards there. So much bigger than your den, I would guess, my den or your bedroom or anything else. So, and we've demonstrated that before. Let's do it again though. Let's put one of these $4 in here, defensive loads from Federal. Put a couple of them in there. All right, and let's shoot that filing cabinet, which would be more like realistic distance. Actually, still pretty far away. Pretty far here, but let's shoot that thing. That's a good load. $4. Wow. So it doesn't take out the entire wall, as we've demonstrated many times. Okay, so I don't think there are any other lies regarding that. I need, by the way, I just felt like I needed to have a Colt single action with me. I don't know why. It just sort of reminded me, I just feel better. I don't feel naked. I've got my Colt single action with me. I mean, 3 coach guns on the table. Got to be a single action somewhere close by, right? So these are great guns. In addition to the little basics information here, if you want a firearm that is just fun to shoot and fun to own, and again has a high cool factor, these are great. The coach guns are. They're fun. You can get them in 20 gauge, even in 410, I think. And there's all ranges of rounds. You can get something that'll just really jolt your shoulder, and others that don't. But there are a lot of fun in addition to what I've been talking about. Just a lot of fun. I trim trees with them occasionally too. But there is a difference, if you didn't know that. So it's not just the look of the hammers. And I think some of them, there are more of these things being made now because of Cowboy action shooting, and there's some come from overseas. And this one's from Brazil, of course. This is the Rossi. These have gotten kind of hard to find now. But they're decent shotguns. And there's some that I think have external hammers, but they're not really hammers. There are some, I think, that actually have a look of an external hammer, and you have to cock it to fire it, but what actually hits the primer is inside, so they're kind of a hybrid and that sort of thing. So you got all variations of them. You got some that seem really cheap, you know, but you can look them over. They're definitely a lot of fun to shoot. But yeah, there is a difference, okay, in the way you cock it. You got to cock those hammers one way or the other, and they can make it inconvenient. Like I said, the one I used to have, I don't remember what it was. It was a bear. It'd been cut off. It probably wasn't as bad when it had full-length barrels, but it was really hard to open and then close because of the cocking, having to cock it. And I just never did like it that much. I had to really grab that thing and break it to get it cocked. This one's not quite so bad. That's a Stoger. It's pretty popular in cowboy action shooting too, I think. So that's all I got, man. Double action, not double action, hammers or hammerless. Let's shoot a couple more before we leave and let you get to dinner. You know what? There ought to be something here I haven't shot that needs to be shot. Like, how about that ammo can down there? Let's cock the hammers. And I'm going to carefully do something here. See. What some people do, I've seen them in cowboy action shooting, is rake them back like that. What I used to do is, as I was loading, let's see, one of the hammers would get in the way. As I was pulling the rounds off my belt, I got to where, okay, I got to shoot, pow, pow, you know, I got to break it open. As I'm grabbing these, I would cock the left hammer, I believe it was, and as I was putting them in, because I couldn't cock the right one, this was in the way, the lever was in there, I'd bring it up and cock it, and I'd be ready to go. So, anything to save a couple of seconds, right? Because you never know which desperado is going to get you. So, pretty cool guns, and maybe you learned something, maybe you didn't, but anyway, I enjoy getting them out and shooting them, and I'm glad you came by to see a little double barrel action. Internal hammers versus external hammers. Life is good. We'd like to thank one of our sponsors, SDI, the Sonoran Desert Institute. SDI has fully accredited distance learning programs where you can get certified in gunsmithing or even an associate's degree in firearms technology. Of course, the study includes hands-on experience, which is important, of course. So check it out. Go to sdi.edu or just click on the link in the description. Okay? And also, we'd like to remind you to check out the Hickok 45 Facebook page and the Hickok 45 and Son channel and its Facebook page, as well as Gun Culture Radio on iTunes. Now remember all this, because I'm coming to your house randomly over the next year or two to give you a quiz on it, okay? Thank you.